Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. We're going Allie's going to take this wireless microphone and ask for your comments. But let me start with Representative White, if I might, and then after Representative White, we'll ask you just to raise your hand and solicit your comments. Jim?
Thank you, Sherman. Please don't throw tomatoes. I am part of the legislature. But I am a supporter of the Spaceport. I too was on the Space Commission back in 95 when I first formed and we started talking about this kind of endeavor. I've been in the aviation community for, ask my wife, but ever since a teenager I've been associated with aviation. I believe in the Spaceport. I believe in where adventurers and explorers like Virgin Galactic, where they want to take chances, and they've taken their chance here in New Mexico, and we need to make that happen. A couple of things, just by way of clarification, there is support in the legislature for the Spaceport, but we need to target those folks that are against it, all right? I really believe if we can get the bill to the floor, we can get it passed, both on the Senate side and the House side, but it dies in committee. It's died there the last couple of years. We need to target those folks that are stopping this thing in committee, so we can get out of committee, get it in the floor, and get a vote, and see where people stand. But I really believe, and with the help of some of you all, we'll get it off the floor and get it up to the governor's office where she said she'd sign it. So we need to work that real hard, and that's what we need to do is target those legislators. You need to talk to your legislator and find out where they stand, and then I'll help identify those that don't want to support it, and you can work on them. So I can help in that regard. The other thing is there is an Informed Consent Act. We've already passed informed consent, so don't get confused that it's not there. U.S. Congress and the FAA, in a rare display of wisdom, they have not passed a lot of regulation about spaceflight, or more particularly about passenger spaceflight. But what they did say, like saying a rare display of wisdom, said we don't know enough. This is indeed an inherently risky endeavor, flying in space. So let's not jump to conclusions here like we have in some other areas. Let's think about this. But what we want you to do, you folks that are involved in the space flight, we want you to fully inform those passengers that want to go on your aircraft. And you can talk to Virgin Galactic about what's going to happen to those passengers, how much training they're going to have to go through, and how much they're going to have to learn and understand about the risk involved in space flight before they go up. I think it's a couple of days, but you know, George, you could tell them more about that. It's not going to be an easy process for a space passenger to go up into space. They're going to go through a lot of training and education, and then they got to sign the consent, and that's the Informed Consent Act. Now, what we've done to satisfy U.S. Congress and the FAA, we have passed that. We did that in 2010, I believe. Representative Martinez brought that forth. I spoke on behalf of it, and I believe it passed the House unanimously. But now what we need to do, when we passed it, we provided protection, not only to the passenger by all this informed thing that they have to do in this training they have to do before they go into space, but protection for the operator, Virgin Galactic. We need to broaden that now. As you've heard today, we need to broaden that to the suppliers and the service corporations. If we want the spaceport to grow, if we want New Mexico to grow, we have got to pass this act, and I need your support to make that happen. I'm trying to do that, but we need your support to make that happen. Again, you need to target the legislators you want to get to, and get them on board. Well, in the Senator Pappin, by the way, she wanted to be here also. We both had committee meetings this week, and we flipped a coin, and she lost. She's got to stay up there and sit in committee where I got to come here and talk to you all. But we jointly sponsored the Senate bill, but that died in the Judiciary Committee last year. And when that died, then I introduced the same bill on the House side, and lo and behold, it died in business and industry, if you can believe that. It died in business and industry, which this is all about, is creating good business and again, jobs for New Mexico. But that's what we want to do. So right now we got to do that. But as we see what the committee assignments are, there's going to be about a third of the House and Senate is going to be new. There's going to be a lot of new people out there this coming session. We don't know what the committee assignments are going to be yet, who's going to be chairing the committees, and that's very crucial in how we get this through. So we got to look at that. I'll be glad to help some folks, target who we need to get to. I think we're losing the battery here. It's no accident that states like Virginia and Texas and Florida are getting into this game. They see the future in space travel, and we need to have that same vision in New Mexico. When we passed the informed consent law, the first one, that protected Virgin Galactic, that's why they're here. That's why they came, because we gave them that protection. If we don't do that for the suppliers and the parts makers and the service corporations, they're not going to come here. They've got options now. Other states have passed these laws, and we need to get on board with that. We have lost ground. I mentioned a very ugly vision of mine that after we spend $250 million to build this spaceport, I can see walking down that runway and weeds growing up between the expansion cracks. We don't want that to happen. We've got a huge investment here, and we need to protect it, and we need to let it grow. We need to let New Mexico grow. We've got a great aviation history, from, in balloons, in gliders. General Pershing launched his first aerial attack on Pancho Villa from Deming Airport many years ago. We've trained aviation pilots here. We've got guys jumping out of balloons in the upper atmosphere. I mean, it's amazing aviation history here. We don't need to let it die because of this legislation. So I encourage you, and help me get this through. I encourage you to stand behind me, stand behind this coalition, which I was just thrilled to see that was formed to try and help me and help us get it through the legislatures. So thank you.